Recording in progress.
So, greetings dear all. Good evening or good morning or good afternoon, wherever you are. It's our pleasure to welcome all of you and open today's session, The Brain Roots of Discrimination, Ideological Division and Artificial Intelligence. I would like to warmly welcome our presenter, dear Carlos Raimundo, the chair of CAOA, Consultative Assembly of Organization Affiliates. Dear Carlos, thank you very much for this opportunity. My name is Tamar Archadze. I am from Georgia. I represent IAGP Communication Committee. And before I hand over to dear Carlos, I would like to share some important from our side information. First of all, regarding recording, the session, as most of our sessions has been recorded, and the video material soon will be available on our website. All video archives are available to watch anytime for our members. This is one of the good benefit, main benefit of membership, and a very good reason to join us. We have a very rich and diverse program of events. We are honored to continue the IAGP legacy that was started 53 years ago by Moreno and Fuchs, and we have a variety of upcoming events. You also can see it on our website, information about them, or follow us on social media. We are updating our announcements, posting events. So this is very important that you will join us for our future meetings. Regarding translation, as you know, Zoom offers the live captions translation feature, and you can choose the preferred language. To simplify this process, I will copy the instruction in the chat. And finally, the brief but important survey. This is the final part of our events, and completing this brief survey, you are contributing to IAGP with your valuable for us opinion. So when you will close Zoom, this link automatically appears in your browser. So thank you in advance, and I will remind about it at the end as well. So, dear Carlos, now the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everybody, and nice to see some of known faces, and some of them known for so many years. So it's very nice to do this. So the intention of this webinar is to enter into a topic that I'm researching. I have been researching for many years, but now get into a new dimension because I'm adding the artificial intelligence that I'm studying with a philosopher here from the university, and we are presenting a philosophy conference next week in Auckland, actually, but it will be online, but the conference is in Auckland. And the aim of this conversation is I'm going to share with you some things that are fairly well researched. So I can say it is like that. Some of the things that are still evolving, and the language I will use will be, it looks like, it seems that, it's evolving in this, so it's building. And the other one that is more uncertain is the area of artificial intelligence that is evolving in a way that we don't know really where is it going. Yuval Harari, I don't know if you know him, he wrote Sapiens. He said that we are in AI in the same level that an amoeba is in the evolutionary terms. So it's like what we are is and we are so amazed what it is. And for his point of view, we are just in the amoeba stage. So can we imagine? We can't imagine what this could be. So the idea here is I'm going to share with you a few principles and situations and allow for you to hear them, to take notes if you like. I have a PowerPoint that I chose not to present so I can flow better instead of being connected to the PowerPoint, but I'm going to send you the PowerPoint after we finish. So you can have a look at that. What I like from you is just to hear, but to connect in two different ways. One is intellectually, to check what I'm saying, if it fits the narrative or the rational processes, but also emotionally. Can you feel that you resonate with what I'm sharing? If you feel identification with this. And then I hope we could have enough space where you can comment, ask questions, agree, disagree. So to have this as almost as a research opportunity for you to start thinking about that. In my organization, Active Learning International, we started a new group called Humanis. That is how we can add sentience into the dynamic with artificial intelligence. So we are working on that. And so any feedback in what we are doing, it will be so valuable for us. Because as you say, we don't know. So the core of what I'm going to present to you is part of a chapter book that AIGP wrote last year. And we have here, do you know, Christina, about a book that AIGP wrote last year? Do you know about it?
Oh, yes, for sure. Thank you, Carlos. But very interesting chapter.
So
I really,
Christina was the editor, so I'm making fun of her. Christina
yeah,
was the editor of the
it was,
book.
but
So
very amazing chapter. Your
yeah,
chapter.
interesting. Yeah, so you were fantastic in guiding us, the authors. So the idea of the chapter is to reflect why we respond to differences in the way we do. There is a lot of studies about psychology, about sociology, about anthropology, but I've been going for many years now as a default to see what happened in the brain. Not so much into the psychology or sociology of things, but what may be happening in the brain, because we don't know. Is to see where is the origin in our biology. I have a friend who he was upset when he called me that. He said, Carlos, and we were talking about theology. And the way I was talking to him, he said, he's a theologian. And he said, Carlos, I think you are a biological reductionist. And then he said, oh, I'm so sorry. I don't want to offend you. I said, no, I love it. So when you name me in a good way. So I default. I don't know as a reductionist, but I go to the biology. Why the biology? Because sociology, psychology, schools of thought are cultural. The Chinese, the Japanese, even though they're Asian, they are very different, even in countries, the Western Americas. But when you go to the brain, there is a common denominator that is about the only race that exists, the human race. So this is why I default there. So to share with you something that Mandela said. He said, no one is born hating another person because of the color of his skin or the background or his religion. People must learn to hate. And if they can learn to hate, they can be taught to love. I love it. Yeah. This is Mandela. And there is another one, that was my teacher, Francis Schaeffer, who said, societies can be judged in many ways, but ultimately, the ultimate test is how people treat other people. So what happened in between us? And this was my passion when I was studying philosophy and psychiatry, and I went to a conference, and this person was talking about a guy called Moreno. Marcia, do you know a guy called Moreno?
I have a memory, yeah, just maybe. But I
Marcia,
wanted to say, Carlos, just one
yes?
second. I heard a thing, I don't know where, but somebody said psychotherapy is that a brain needs another brain sometimes to calm it down.
Oh, that's
And I
beautiful.
like that.
I
It's
love
nice.
it. I love it.
Sometimes a
Yeah,
brain needs another brain to calm it down.
beautiful.
It's nice, huh?
Yeah, love
Yeah.
it. So what I was saying is, when I was studying philosophy, I heard this conference about this guy called Moreno. I make fun of Marcia because Marcia was a student of Moreno. This is what I'm mentioning her. And he said, the identity, who I am, is not about me, like existential philosophy talks about. It's all about me. And in the Temple of Delphi, it says, know thyself, know yourself. For Moreno, is you cannot know yourself by yourself if there is not on relationships. And him working with Buber, Martin Buber, they work on the concept of the encounter. That what happened, and Levinas and others always talk about, that is not in me and the other, but what happened in between us. So this is the background where I'm coming from. My default is what happened in between us. That whatever happened is what in me, what happened in the other. The Moreno, of course, talks so much about the tele and sociometry and all of that. Going back to the brain, just to make a very simple thing about the brain is that the brain looks for comfort, not for truth. And this is a neurophysiological absolute, that the brain looks for what suits well for me, secondary if it's true or not. Because the brain hates 2 or 3 things. One is the brain cannot handle failure. The sense of failure, it has to find a way to feel myself that I'm not a failure. The brain needs to be in certainty the whole time. The I know. They cannot handle uncertainty, and the brains need to be hates the unfamiliar, needs the familiarity. So what the brain does? When I feel that I'm a failure, I will justify that. And there is a wonderful myth, the myth of Adam and Eve, that who know that story, that God said to Adam, what have you done? Have you eaten the tree? And Adam responding the myth. He said, the woman you gave me made me do it. So this is a funny story, but shows us that we cannot collapse and say, I'm so sorry, I made a mistake. So this is very important for us. And the brain automatically creates what Burton and Gazzaniga call a sense of knowing that creates me a story. There is a cognitive bias that makes me feel I am okay. And I know the truth. So this is a generic biological thing. But it's very interesting. There is 2 parts of the brain that I like to talk today. One is the insula and one is the precuneus. I don't know if you have heard about the precuneus before. You may have heard about the insula. I'm not going to go very deep into neuroscience, but the question here is why we find so difficult to deal with the other when there is differences. From the philosophical point of view, we have Martin Buber talking about that the ideal relationship is I and thou, the me and the you, that they are different. And in that difference, we can grow together. Sometimes it's tension, but we can grow together. We can see the differences. But he says the tension is so great very often that most of our relationships are I. I am with people who think like me. And we see that especially in religion, in cults, in politics. And we are fantastic, very close, because we think the same. And if one person starts thinking differently, very often there is a break in the relationship. And then we are going to do why this is happening. Break a relationship and they become enemies. And he said that even the relationship, I, is difficult because it needs this tension. So Martin Buber said, we started treating people like it, like I and it. Treat people like numbers to things. So when we see what happened in the world, when we see how, especially the minorities, sadly women, children, and people who are different are not even treated as different. They're treated as it. This is a default that we go. And the sad thing is that if I've been treating myself or in generations as an it, I don't know how to treat someone else as an I or as a thou. So I will treat people like an it, and they have it relationships. So whether this happening,
I think
yes,
that's what, Carlos, I think that's why Moreno was very clear that people are more alike than they are different. He used to say that a
absolutely.
lot.
Thank you for that. And you may like to come back to that later when I talk about the precuneus. So this is what we are looking at. So why is so hard? Why is so hard? And one of the reasons is that happen in the brain. And the essence is that happen in a part of the brain that is called the insula. The insula is in the temporal part of the brain. We're not going to go there. And is sense everything we do. It was not considered part of the limbic system, but now is considered as an extension of the limbic system. That is the emotional part of the brain. The insula informs you if you are standing up, sitting down, if you're hungry, if you're not hungry. So it's the permanent sensor of what you do. But the part I'd like to share with you about the insula is also is also a part of the brain that sense disgust and protects me from infections. For example, and this is innate in that sense, but I will look at later that is not alive, is not present when we are born. It grows later. This is why we have children who will play with feces or with animals or dirty things because there is not connected yet that this is an infection. So this was called a sense of disgust. We feel the disgust, the yuck. And this is to protect us physically. But apart from the insula protects us physically, for that, it grows within a culture and within a belief. And the belief system becomes ingrained into the insula and start informing the frontal lobe of the brain what is right and what is wrong culturally. And when they detect something that is not right, that could be an infection, it jumps. So the way it works is the insula has that information, what is right and wrong. For example, a religion. Let's go to a traditional one, Protestants and Catholics in England or Northern Ireland. Let's go to this is known. But then adapt that to any kind of experience and also think of yourself. That if I am with one belief system and I know that my daughter or my friend is going out with the other belief system, the insula will connect automatically in 12 milliseconds to the amygdala, and the amygdala will jump with fear, will say alert. The amygdala will say this is not right. Why? Because it's like a disgust that says this is a potential infection to me, to my ideas, and then creates a response that usually is separation, anger, and also the fight. And we do that automatically. But the problem is that then the frontal lobe of the brain, that remember, they cannot accept failure, it cannot accept uncertainty. Say, I know, certainty, that this is wrong. So that behavior is justified by the frontal lobe of the brain. And that happens in us automatically. So when we are talking about discrimination, that discrimination happens within us, in our brain, because the person sees that this is an infection. For example, in some religions, a father may know that the daughter is going out with somebody from a different belief system. And the father will kill the daughter as an honor killing and will justify that the whole life. They will never have remorse because ideology is stronger than instinct. And this is very important for us to know. And that is so scary that all of us is coded in the same way. These are universal. We are not talking about culture. We are talking about the brain universally. And we are all sensitive to that. And we are all we all create, when we reject something like that, we create a story and even a behavior to put somebody down for us to feel that we are right. So this is what happened in the brain in relation to that. And the important thing again is that this is not innate. It grows, the potentiality is innate, but it grows with us. I remember one day I was in the north of Argentina, and there was indigenous people there, and I was in my car with my family, with my son, who was 3 years old. And I knocked at the door. I was an indigenous person came, and I knew that he didn't like me. I was from the city. I was dressed in a way. I was a car, and I knew it. Almost said, "Hey, what do you want?" Something like that. So I knew it. I felt it. The telling was very clear. So I said to him, "I'm lost. Can you help me?" I'm very tense. He told me where to go, whatever. But then I looked down, and in our feet, there was his child and my child playing together. They didn't know the difference. They didn't have yet that distance in us that is created in us. And I was thinking about what was called the movie? The Child in a Pyjama? What was the movie? Something like that, no? The boy in a pajamas. Yeah. So there you see, two children, one who was in the concentration camp, and the other one, the son of the oppressor, and they were playing together, because this is the nature of us to be able to do it. But the insula creates these systems inside us that makes us feel the difference. So I'd like to ask you, how do you resonate with this? And then I'll continue with the other part of the brain. Yes.
Can I give a terrible example?
Yeah.
I had a patient years ago whose parents wanted her to have an assigned husband. I forget what that's called. When the family decides the husband. She moved to Britain from her country and chose a Brit. And they were about to kill her. They were trying to find her to kill her, honorary killing, because she what's that called?
Honorary
A
killing.
kind of. No, but when they have to marry what the parents say.
Arranged marriage.
Arranged marriage, yeah. So she wouldn't do that. And she was 14 or whatever, she got away. Okay. So they were going to kill her honorary thing. Anyway, her father died, and she became my patient. She was in the GP practice where I worked, and she was very worried. She wouldn't get the chance to say goodbye, blah, blah, blah. So she contacted the family. And the question was, should she, shouldn't she? Because she was afraid her children would be killed, her husband would be killed. Okay. We decided she should not write directly to them because they'd know her address and they'd know her. So I sent it to a colleague way hundreds of miles away. And the letter went from his office. Immediately the family received it. They phoned his office. They contacted him. They were in his office the next day demanding to know where their daughter was. He said, I don't know, and I made clear he didn't. So they didn't kill him. They didn't. Anyway, she was able to say goodbye via another colleague who didn't know the situation, and all she wanted to do was to say, I love you. That's it. So we had to go through all this stuff, and they were determined to kill her and her family. It was really a scary time for all of us. Yeah. But she managed to say goodbye, and that was it. That's all she wanted to do. Amazing.
Yep, this is what we're talking about. So I'd like for you to see if you have how does this resonate with you, but also, are you aware of anything about different cultures, religions, or things, or behaviors that creates in you this sense of disgust? Can you see it in yourself? I can in myself. And I hate it. I hate it. And so how, any comments about this part of the brain that creates this in us, and to see the consequences that we can have, because one is the insula as an individual factor, but especially that becomes collective. And this is when the collective, the whole country, or the whole group of people become against others, and they were having wars in situations. So any thought about this origin, about this? Yes, Andreas.
Alexander was first. He raised his hand first.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Carlos, it's for me it was new, but you are right that ideology is stronger than the instinct. I thought the instinct is basis, but ideology. But it's really this is that ideology is stronger. But I have a question for you. If I understand correctly, that you say that Mandela said that you need to learn how to hate, and then you know how to respect. I hate nobody, even my enemies. I don't hate. I just this. But I know how to respect without hatred. Can you comment this?
Yes. So I don't know what the question is. What is the question? If you can. What is the question,
the
Alexander?
question is this, do I understand correctly that if you don't know how to hate, you will not know how to respect?
No, I don't think he says. I don't think he says that. No, what he says is, we are born. As I said, my son was playing with his indigenous person. He didn't know what to hate. This indigenous person, I don't think he hated me, didn't like me. That is different. But what Mandela is saying, in the same way that we need to learn how to hate, it's not innate in us. If we can learn how to hate, we can also learn how to love. No, I think it's a beautiful statement.
Thank you.
And lucky you that you don't hate. I think it's a beautiful thing. My father will say, wow, because he was my father and myself too, very aware of the shadow. No, very aware of my own shadow. Yes, I can hate. I can do that. Yeah,
Mandela was just pointing out that hate is a learned behavior. That's
exactly.
all he was saying.
Yeah,
Hate is a learned behavior. He wasn't
yeah,
saying you have to learn how to.
exactly.
Thank you.
Beautiful. Thank you, Alexander.
Thank you.
Andreas, and anyone else.
Yeah, what resonates most with me is this objectification, the capacity, obviously, the capacity of the brain to objectify, to dehumanize the other. And I remember in the 70s, when we fought against atomic bombs, there was a famous example. And it was a story of an American atomic strategist who planned, we throw bombs on Moscow, 3 million deaths. We throw bomb on Minsk, 2 million bombs. We throw bombs on Kiev, 1 million bomb. Kiev then was that Soviet Union, etc. And one day he had a girlfriend, and he showed her the big world with all the little needles with heads, and the different colors meant different amounts of million deaths. And how did the girl react, his girlfriend? She started crying. She started just crying because she felt these needles are human beings and not numbers, dehumanized numbers. And this is the basic for making war possible, that you train soldiers to dehumanize the other one.
Absolutely.
And we can experience this even in the small laboratory of our group, or even in individual therapy. There's a famous article, I forgot the author, the need to destroy your therapist of the patient. Actually, it talks about, it deals with this matter to objectify. I basically think it has to do with insecurity of our, elephants have a huge advantage. They get born when they can walk, when they can get their own food, and when they are much more autonomous. Babies are born in a state of complete dependency on others. And that's how they can be educated so well. I mean, in a bad way.
Yeah, beautiful. So
how to cope with this basic insecurity that we all share,
yeah,
but we have different cultural ways to cope with it. And one way is always to build the tent of the nation and use it, but also abuse it.
beautiful. So
I
this
don't
is
get the
why,
point about the elephants, Andres. I don't
You know,
get
the
point.
difference between
The
me
animals.
and an elephant is I was completely dependent on my surrounding. And the elephant, when he's born, he can get his food by himself, he can walk by himself. He does not feel so anxious. The price he has to pay is he has to live for 2 years in the womb of his mother. But he gets a much more safe, secure feeling to feel in this world compared to you and me, where we experience this absolute impotence, this absolute dependency, and absolute blah, blah, blah.
beautiful.
So we should have
I
stayed
think,
longer in the womb.
yeah, I think a topic that we could talk on another time is attachment. The whole attachment theory, no, that help us. And I'm not a specialist on that, but how we can educate the children in a way that the insula is growing in a less judgmental system that is a wider system. So we can do that, but it's not a topic today. But it's important also for us to also think, have you been part of the not hating others or discriminating others, but you've been the object of being discriminated against because of race, because of behavior, or because of whatever. And for you to know that if you felt that, it's because the other person, it's the weakness of the other person who feels that whatever behavior you have or you are is a threat to them. So any comments about this, and anyone
I just
anyone
would like to add to this concept of attachment. I have the concept of the internalized very early group. Why did Mandela survive 20 years in isolation, torture, etc.? Because he was not alone. He brought with himself a very strong, very reliable, very confidence-giving inner group that he had kind of internalized in the very first years of his life, even months. And some of us have the fortune to have this experience, and some are lacking it, and then we work for years to transplant it to them.
Yeah,
okay,
beautiful.
That's just a thought.
No, but the role of
I want to add to. Can I add to that? Just
yeah.
that
Wait a second, Marcia. I'd like to see if other people can also bring more
Sure.
ideas. Yeah.
Don't
Any
let me
other
forget
thoughts?
this is important.
Yeah. Any other thoughts?
I can share something. For example, first time in America, I experienced that one Afro-American woman told me, white lady, and I was shocked because like in Serbia, we are all white. So I was never thinking of myself as a white lady. So I said, okay, I'm white. But why she was telling me like that? And she was a bit, angry, a bit rude. She said, okay, white lady, go. Said, oh, really? I'm white, and she see me as a lady. That means something. But from the other side, I can tell something about my shadow. I realized that I hate everything that is not hygienic in all religions. For example, even in my religions, even though that I'm not religious in that, like in a Christian church, they will kiss this cross. They will, so I say, and all those things, that I find that they're not, how to say, clean, and they're not healthy from the medical point of view.
Yeah.
So,
well,
yeah.
that physical reaction is more the one we know about disgust, but we don't know much about the disgust about ideology or ways of living, because we don't think like that. But when we have, for example, an heterosexual person who sees, and I watched last night the Sum of Us, a beautiful 1994 movie from Australia, and we loved it in that movie. And this is the tension from a not the movie, another person, from an heterosexual person who finds the son homosexual, and I find this feeling, and this is what we are talking about. That, and then we are going to see what to do with it. No, but anyone else comments that you feel that you can see discrimination to others by yourself? Yes.
Dear Lindsay, you raised your hand, as I remember.
Who was that?
Christian.
It's
yeah, it's Christian.
Lindsay.
Yeah, Lindsay. Yeah.
Yeah, it just made me think. I did a workshop once, and one of the exercises was on prejudice.
Yes.
And in the exercise, we had to play the role of someone that we were prejudiced against. So everyone in the group had to dress up to give the impression that they were playing the role of the person that were prejudiced. And our
That's
teacher
fantastic.
said, you will find that you will be able to play that role beautifully. You will slip into that role of the person you're prejudiced against, and you will go around that room and you will act like them, you will talk like them, you will know it, even though you are prejudiced against them.
What a psychodrama.
So I found that a very powerful exercise.
Yes. This is what we're talking about. Fantastic.
Yeah.
Anyone else?
Yeah, for sure. I think I can't hate all those that hate me or that make me feel in danger, like terrorists in my country, and those who hate women. I really feel like, oh my goodness, I cannot speak with those people because they don't want to listen to me. That made me really something to think about.
Yeah.
And once I had to try to be with someone who really was very radicalist in her beliefs. And it was a good experience because we could speak not from social identity, I am that and you are that, but person to person. I mean, this is another level. We are, as Andrea said, we are humans and we can speak about everything, but we have to separate the social idea of beliefs or social radicalism and so on. So yeah, the shadow is there.
Yeah. So we're going to have a look later, very soon, how to respond to this natural hate to somebody who is abusing women, from where to do it, because this is will make the difference. Any other comment? Any other one who would like to share about Philippa? Your sound.
This is a personal experience. We were at psychodrama conference, and there was one person in the room that wore dreadlocks, which I personally dislike, and I was aware of my prejudice coming up, and yet I ended up being paired with her. And one of the things I noticed fairly quickly was I stopped seeing the dreadlocks. I saw the person. And I think that's probably one of the difficulties. People, if they're willing to get past their preconceived prejudice or stereotypes, all the stories they've been told, and start relating to the person, they find someone else.
Beautiful.
We get it. We have. Though in New Zealand, where there is quite a lot of prejudice, there's also a lot of work being done around trying to work with other. And many years ago, I did a workshop with you, Carlos, and you were on the subject about how do we relate to others. What was our secret prejudices?
Yes.
And I identified Indian at that stage. Guess what? I have one hell of a lot of Indian clients. So the universe is very generous. It's given me the opportunity to find something else.
Isn't it beautiful? I think New Zealand may be in the world one of the role models of the right intentions and actions in dealing with a lot of things like that. Not only prejudice, but also animal welfare and things like that. I think congratulations to New Zealand.
We have our problems. We've got a government at the moment. It's not so balanced, but yeah.
Yeah, I don't say it's perfect, but it's a good intention making. Before anyone else would like to share anything, or can Marcia?
I feel prejudice certainly in UK. I'm 50 years living here as an American citizen. I'm not polite particularly. I don't worry about upsetting. I don't worry about disturbing. When I first came here, for example, a lady came up to me and said, I don't mean to disturb you, Marcia, but I do like your necklace. So there's a very great fear of upsetting and, and in some ways this is the cruelest culture that I've lived in the sense that, I used to work for Carl Rogers. He was my first boss. What comes out of the mouth and what's felt needs to be in conjunction, and in Britain it often isn't. It's like, oh, I really like this, so thank you so much, and then you hear from somebody in the morning that they didn't, and da da da. So I like truth very much. Okay, that's one thing. And the other thing is I raised ducks on a farm for many, many, many years. Within 24 hours of ducklings being born, if a mallard mama is threatened, or the male mallard wants to drown one of the little ones, the ducklings within 24 hours of birth, so it's not about life experience, it must be instinct. They gather in a ball, in a fluff ball, 13 of them, and they know they're safer in a group. How about that?
Beautiful. Beautiful. This is also created in ducks with the insula that creates that protection. So let's continue. So we say that the insula with the amygdala sense in 12 milliseconds where is danger. And we're coded like that as our ancestral hunter-gatherers. And it's still in us. And this is the insula and the amygdala that screams very highly in that behavior. And we have another part of the brain that is something not new, but the research is just coming up more and more. That is the precuneus. The precuneus is in the temporal part of the brain. It's a part of the brain that hasn't been very well known, because when there is any problem in that part of the brain, like a clot or a brain damage, nothing happens in the body. So therefore, the majority of the part of the brain that we know is because when something happens in the brain, we become like this, or we cannot talk, or this or that. So it's easy to associate the part of the brain with a dysfunction. With the precuneus, this doesn't happen. But there is a lot of research about that. And
what's the word you're saying? What's the word? What?
Precuneus, precuneus. So now, before about the insula, I said, this is what it is. We know that very well. With the precuneus, I will use a different language. It looks like, it seems like, that the precuneus is the compass of the soul. The precuneus is permanently aware of our self-awareness, not in the alert system of the insula, what is happening here, but from a more existential point of view. And it's connected to our emotional sense, and also guides us toward universal values. This is the key. The insula is connected to cultural values. I grew up in a part that we hate Catholics, and this is ingrained. I grew up in another country who hates whites or blacks, and this is ingrained. But the consciousness, it looks like that the consciousness of the precuneus is universal. Everyone has it inside us. In my chapter book that I suggest you to read it, I talk about a concept that is a Jewish and Christian concept, and similar also in in Islam, that is the concept of the image of God in us. So, of course, this is a construct that religions make, but that is something like that. It's something inside us that is a universal way, like a life compass, and it's called the life compass. That if we hear it, it will talk to us. It will not talk to us. No, this is a metaphor. It will make us aware.
Give an example. Could you give an example,
I will.
please?
It will make us aware of what is happening. However, the insula screams very high, but the precuneus is a whisper. It's like a whisper of the soul that is activated 24/7, even when we are awake. But the way that informs us is like a whisper that we cannot hear with the noise of life. We need to activate certain systems to be able to hear that voice. And this is through relaxation, mindfulness, quiet time, and moments of time where we can be in a sense of trance, that we can wait to see if we can hear that voice. So, for example, I may feel the sense of anger and wanted to go very aggressive towards a man, for example, who is attacking, who is putting a woman down. The insula, I feel disgust with that. So I can go to anger and hit, boom, like this. But if I hear the precuneus will be able to inform me how to address that more appropriate. And the word appropriate is key in psychodramatic thinking about spontaneity. That spontaneity is the appropriate response to a new situation. So why this is important for us in psychotherapy? Because it's in us. How are we creating spaces that after the client comes with the trauma, with whatever situation they have, that is very loud, we create a space, the right warm-up, the right space for quietness and silence to be able to hear that voice. We are not going to present it today, but for us, we do that through the play of life. That is a way to transfer the cognitive bias, this is what I think, into a picture, working in silence, that allows me to give me information that is within me. But I cannot access that from the insula, I can access it from the precuneus. Damasio says that all the information, all the experiences we have is imprinted in the limbic system in images. But those images are non-verbal, are experiences. So the language system reads that and transforms that in the stories we believe. The question had to go beyond those stories and to allow the person to be able to hear that whisper of the soul. That it will tell us, will give us, using psychodramatic terminology, the spontaneity necessary, the necessary spontaneity to be able to confront almost any situation in our life. And in that moment, we also can start learning how to develop the appropriate role, the creativity, to face even the more difficult situations in life. And this is for psychotherapists, is what is the space we give to our clients, to ourselves, to be able to listen to that whisper that is inside us, almost in desperation for us to hear what is good for us and society. Any thoughts about that? How does it sound? Is it clear? Kathy?
Oh, it just brings to mind, Carlos, from the scripture in the book of Kings, where Elijah goes up to the mountain and he's looking for God, waiting to hear the voice of God. And the big storm comes and he knows that God's voice is not in the storm. And then the thunder roars and it's not in the thunder. And then the lightning, it's not in the... And then there's a gentle breeze after a long time. And that's where he hears God's voice. That's what comes to mind for me.
Yep, this is what it is. Lindsay, wait a second. After you, Marcia.
Two things moved me with the precuneus. Like Kathy, I thought of Psalms 46. Be still and know that I am God. So this concept of stillness is important. The other thing that I love too is that I don't know how correct this is, but originally psychology was the study of the psyche or the soul. And it's sort of like moved toward more about the study of human behavior and moved away from necessarily the study of the soul. And I feel that this brings it back to, because the sense there is that the individual has in them the innate health and well-being, because so often the client will present themselves as broken or damaged or defective. And yet this model, what you talk about here, is that we are tapping into the client's innate goodness and then because it's within them. And that's why I find that tremendously hopeful.
Beautiful. Thank you.
Yeah.
Marcia? And anyone else, please. I need more comments and questions. Yes, Marcia.
I'm Marsha. It's Ukrainian Russian name. Marsha.
Marsha.
To go on from what you just said, Moreno's idea was to touch the autonomous healing center of the person. That was how he split from Freud, one of the big splits. The healthy part is what we're after. That's one thing. The other thing is, my husband was a cartoonist, communist, socialist, and a very wise journalist came to him once and looked at his cartoons and he said, "Mr. Sprague, keep the anger, lose the scream. More people will hear you." And I showed this to Carlos earlier, but this is an image that you may know of my husband's, Ken Sprague. He did it for the Nicaragua Banana Workers Union, for a small group of dedicated people could form a union and eat the capitalist pig who's taking all their profit. And this has gone around the world for many governments and stuff. The other thing is Moreno's concept of ethical anger, which is not talked about very often, which is when your morality and your dignity is insulted. He gave the example of Christ turning over the tables, the money lending tables at the church. He said there's no place for money in the house of God. Christ never hurt anybody. He wasn't violent. He simply had an ethical, dignified response. And we, each of us, need to go to our bed clean, that we stand up for our own dignity and morality in a way that's acceptable, as you say, Carlos, that can be heard by the other. Obama used to say, wisely, in any negotiation, the first thing is the other person has to feel that they're heard. And then you can begin to ask for what you want. And very often when we attack the other, because peace is not without conflict, we need to tolerate the difficult discussions to have peace.
I'd like to add into that. All of that are good things to say. The question is, how can I hear? How to put it in myself, in our capacity to hear. For example, Philippa, when you were talking about the shift, Philippa, were talking about the shift that you. So technically, what happened is, for whatever reason, no idea why, you were able to hear the precuneus telling you a different way of confronting that. And you hear it and you obey it. You did it. So here is I'd like to hear more comment from you. How does it sound? How could be the application of this in psychotherapy? And what could be my difficulty in hear that voice? I'd like to share something personal. I don't know how much you know the Enneagram, but I'm an 8 in the Enneagram, the same Enneagram of Martin Luther King Jr., but also Saddam Hussein and Donald Trump. So I have that shape. And in reality, for me, it gives me more, no, pleasure is not the right word, but sense of agency when I attack. When I attack, than when I relax and let things go. So for me, it's a great need of work on myself to hear the precunious. To be honest with you, like a
We need help.
confession. Like a confession.
We need help
I
sometimes.
do.
We need
I do.
help.
And I have, especially, this is in my book. In my book, I wrote in the dedicatory to my life companion, my wife, children and grandchildren, mirrors of my heart. Thank you for your patience and love, guiding me as I slowly learn through the wisdom you reflect. But it's just to be honest, for me to hear the precunious say you need to be kind to that, I like it, but it's boring. So
my husband used to do the work for Martin Luther King, Carlos.
Exactly.
My husband
so
did work
I need
Martin Luther King.
I need
and when King, he said, when King walked in the room, it was like the sunshine came in the room.
Yes.
With all that was happening.
Yeah.
But there's something in his soul that celebrated living at the same time as the horror of being black. And we need to listen to both of those. You know,
Exactly. So what I'm
humanity's
saying here is,
beautiful
who
and
is
ugly.
in Mandela was, for example, Desmond Tutu. What an amazing role that he had. So what about us? How is this concept for you? How do you feel that this precunious may benefit you to hear it more in your life? It will benefit me a lot. But also in your practice, we have here therapists, we have here spiritual directors, we have healers here. How do you feel that this concept, if we apply to that, we may start learning how to hear this whisper? Any comments? I'd like to hear from you for me to learn. I wonder what is happening within your mind, no? That you're quiet, and that's okay. And how this way of thinking, what do you think there could be better ways of activating, if this is true, that it looks like it is, ways that you feel that you need to activate yourself for yourself, and if it's easy or difficult. For me, it's difficult. And as a therapist, I was seeing people who are with this insular hatred about their son, their daughter, because they are different, the wife, the husband. How can we create a context to say you have another voice inside you that can give you a better go? Any comments?
Andreas, you wanted to say something?
Yeah. I'm missing something in your concept. I'm not really know how I can relate it, but you know, you talk about different functions in the brain or different areas that have different functions, and how you connect it to our senses. Because I have observed the phenomenon, a psychoanalyst call it a little bit hearing with the third ear, but you enter into a encounter, and in the first 2 seconds you feel something. And sometimes I have experienced almost fear of annihilation. And it took me some years to believe into my feeling, to trust my feelings, that it has to do something with murderous aggression on the other side. Sometimes, I think, this hearing with feeling, and also my professor in Japan, when I studied there, he studied social mood, but this is a mood beyond what people talk, but that unites them. I don't know whether you understand what I try to talk about, and how you can connect it, like you try us to connect to certain parts of the brain.
I think you are adding to what I'm saying a way that is highly likely, that is the stimulation, this part of our internal resources, the precuneus, to be able to help us to connect with ourselves and also collectively. I think it's a way. This is what I like to hear, when you hear like that, to see how there could be other ways that we could help ourselves first. So for me, it's quietness, and that is very hard for me to do because I'm a little bit ADHD. So activity for me is what drives me. To be quiet is a nightmare. No, but I need to do it. So what is the help I need to do to be able to hear that voice? So this is about me. But also in trying to fix the client sometimes, I miss the opportunity to create the environment, knowing that is within the client what the solution is, not in me. So this is about me. So any comment from you? How do you find yourself in your own life? And as therapists or spiritual directors, they say, oh, it would be interesting to consider this.
Carlos, in the practice of prayer, when there's
Kathy, can you mention a little bit who you are and what you do, so people know where is your background, where you're coming from?
Yes, I'm in Australia. I'm a spiritual director and supervisor, and I'm a Sister of Mercy, a religious Sister of Mercy. So for me, that practice of prayer where you bring your true self before God, and you have the practice also of meeting with the spiritual director, at least once a month. And you bring to you don't say prayers. It's not about reciting the Our Father and the Hail Mary. It's about developing that relationship with a spirit, God, an energy, not a man with a white beard in heaven. It's not about that. It's being really honest about, how we treat others, what's happening inside of me, the anger I feel, the jealousies, and then just listening for what is stirred up by the spirit within to help me to be better tomorrow, even though I probably fail again tomorrow. So it's all about that.
Thank you. Because I work a lot in different traditions and things. One of the prayer, sometimes I work with religious people, as you know, and priests, and I ask them, when you pray to God, how do you call God? And I say, I don't know, Father, God. And then when you present your issue, how do you hear back how this force or that God calls you? And they never cross their mind. So I don't know. I said, try to find the word. How do they call you? And I said to them, if I pray like that, I feel that force calls me Carlitos. Carlitos is how my parents used to call me, Charlie. Carlitos. No? And I hear Carlitos. And stay there to hear that voice. What is he saying? And for many people say, I don't know what you're talking about. Because prayer is to talk. I say, pause. Go into the silence and hear back. Theoretically, this conversation happens inside our brain. Theoretically is I go to inside myself. I'm scared, I'm fearful, I'm angry, I'm frustrated, I'm lost, whatever it is, had to name it. In the book I've written, that is called Feelings Aloud, and I suggest you to have a look at. We talk about that the essence of life is to notice and name. How am I feeling? That allows me to go to the precuneus and to hear back. Carlitos, it is okay. Or you're not okay. This is what you can do to hear that. Any other comments?
Marcia?
I can hear Marcia. I can hear you, Marcia.
Moreno was once asked, why do you think people are afraid of group psychotherapy? And he said, I think ultimately people are afraid if they tell their truth, they'll go mad. And many years ago, I worked many times in Moscow, and I was given many matryoshka dolls. And I developed and wrote about it, this exercise, which might help some of you. You ask the client, I feel, take a feeling that you feel. I feel hatred because I won't feel, and then you take out the next doll, compassion. Okay. I feel compassion because I won't feel loneliness. I feel loneliness because I won't feel togetherness. I feel togetherness because I won't feel separate, etc. And I've written about this. And at the end of it, Andreas, you'd be interested to know that annihilation is at the very bottom for many people. Because ultimately, the last thing is, I'm afraid I will be annihilated. Yeah? And then what I do is I go backwards. I say, okay, start with, I feel I'm annihilated because I won't feel part of something.
Marcia.
I feel part of something because I won't feel, and we go backwards.
Thank you.
And it's a very helpful
It's a beautiful exercise. So the process you are presenting is exactly what we're talking about. It's an internal dialogue in us. Now the question for us is any behavior or feelings you have, not for us to disclose now, that you find that for me it's hard to notice and to name it. And it's hard for me because I don't know where to go. And I like to say to you, inside you, you have the resources. Sometimes we need a companion, like we call therapy the companion, spiritual director, somebody with you to do that. But it's within us. So what is for you? Anything that this insula is crying, is shaking you with fear or whatever to look at. And if I'm honest, I say, I haven't gone there easy yet. Or I have clients that I find hard to go there with them because I haven't finished it with myself. So thoughts and ideas with that, and I like to have other people to share.
I think you have said meditation. For me, meditation is one of the best ways to go inside yourself, but also to share with the others a meditation. So it can be both ways. I think that's a good way of... I never thought about the insula and the precurious from a biological point of view. Because I think that if the AI knows that, it's going to make us part of it, part of the artificial intelligence.
Well, so now that you mentioned that, this is our research that we are doing. And one of the risks we have with AI is the risk that we have. Tanya Luhrmann, she was an American person who studied. He wrote a book, When God Talk Back, and it's a massive anthropological research about the internal need we have to give to external forces a sense of God and a sense of guru, and is ancestral, is in us. I'm making a metaphor of that about AI, because AI, we can ask the question and AI may answer in that way. And I'm projecting into that a similar religious experience to a God who's respond to us. Actually, Harari wrote the book Homo Deus, the God we are creating. But if when I receive, this is the hypothesis we have, if I can respond to AI as a robot, using Moreno's term, as a robot, or I can respond as a creative genius. That when I respond into that, I pause and I go into activating my precunium. How does this sound? And to add sentience into the process of artificial intelligence. This is what we are working on. How we can have the best we can with this amazing technological emerging magic thing that is happening, and not losing our agency. But it's very easy for us to lose the agency. It's the agency that a woman or a child loses in their marriage when they have an oppressive partner. It's the agency we lose in a country where there is oppression. It's the agency we lose when we are in pain and we feel that we don't have escape, we cannot escape. Anything can take over us and we react what is called a role given, role taken. We can learn how to respond as a role playing with AI and maximizing the capacity of AI, but for us to maintain the agency and the sentience into that. This is what we are researching. This is what we are looking at. And we like to invite people who like to get into that interesting world to think together, because we don't know. We are learning from that. So coming back to you, almost finishing here, how do you feel in yourself this need to go to this silence space to hear a voice to live life better, to resolve things in our life that needs a resolution, because we are carrying it and we don't need to carry it anymore. But also as therapists, how do we feel that we help our clients, our people in the spiritual direction to go there and to discover that? So I don't know if my question is clear, but I'd like to hear from you. And how was this chat for you? Yes, Philippa.
This might be sideways to what you're asking. When I'm working with clients, particularly around anxiety, I talk about the monkey mind going, yes, but, yes, but, yes, but. So the warming up to indecision. But I also talk about the fact that we have an intuitive voice, that quiet voice that's certain. Now, most people talk about it as a gut instinct. I would talk about it's the soul voice. We're a soul in a human experience, not the other way around. So that's that quiet, knowing voice that's certain. Now, how that fits to what you're in your research. Whether there's that level of connection, I don't know. But my personal experience is when I don't listen to that quiet voice, I get it wrong every time.
Beautiful. One of the things that our brain tricks us is how to learn how to doubt. Because the sense of knowing that the brain creates, and this has been highly, highly researched, gives us a sense of gut feeling that this is right, what is not right. So for us to activate the precuneus is learning how to doubt and how to go to a space of uncertainty, of not knowing. That is not easy for the brain to go. And there is when we can hear and be certain. So this is something that is important for us to know. That people say, oh, I feel this gut feeling. Well, the brain lied to us. The brain is our biggest liar because the brain looks for comfort to make me feel good, doesn't look for truth. But we have the resources inside us, and sometimes a good friend, a good therapist, to say to the therapist, I need for you to challenge me. Because sometimes...
Question, is that why you think ideology is stronger than instinct? Is that the reason?
Ideology is stronger because the insula creates the ideology and to survive us, to make us feel good and in control. And I have an experience. I was a doctor in Argentina, and this is what I learned this. I was a doctor in Argentina, 23 years old, just new doctor in the military service in the revolution in Argentina in a military hospital. At 3 a.m, they bring a child that was wounded by a grenade and shots. And I said, what happened? And the military said, oh, the revolutionaries, the people, they put the children in the window as shields for us not to shoot. They shot anyway. And this is what happened. So I was terrified, horrified by that. So I went to my friends who were in the revolution, was my age, who were the people in the revolution. I told them, look at what happened. And they say, yes, that makes sense. Because if they get our children, they will indoctrinate them in their belief, they will kill us, and our ideology will stop. And I said, oh my God. So I went to my father, who was a doctor, a philosopher, and I said, then look at what happened. And he told me, Carlitos, ideology is stronger than instinct. This is why a father and a mother can kill, abandon a child because of an ideology. And from then on, I started working on that process. No, and it's very scary because any one of us is susceptible to believe something that it can lie to ourselves, and we can be that person. We need to start talking more about us than them. But people say, oh, because people are very cruel. If I cannot see the cruelty inside me, it's very hard for me not to be at risk of that. I am the society. I am Nelson Mandela. I also am the perpetrator. I am the child has been sexually abused. I work with pedophiles for 15 years. So I am that. This is within us. If we don't know that we have that possibility, we are lying to ourselves. So this is how much I allow myself to go there, and also to have my friends and my people to say, please be a good mirror of me, because I cannot see. In the same way that I cannot see my face, I need a mirror. I cannot see my emotions and behaviors. This is why psychodrama is so fantastic, because I can see it there. I can play. The play of life is even stronger in that sense because it's a picture in front of me. So I don't know how to finish this. I'd like to ask you, but with a hope and a wonder. I didn't use the word wonder before, but we need to change fear for wonder and to say, how can I do different? To go to an uncertainty space. I say, I don't know, but I know that it's within me, and it will take me, it will touch me, it will give me the possibility to go to a better space. So, how was this chat for you? Anything that you got, and what do you think that will be next? If for us to research, and if anyone is interested in joining us with this AI, please contact me. How was this for you? Can I have a word or mini sentence from everybody? This is a selfish request.
Thank you. I was thinking how meeting different people is important, like we do now, and traveling as well is very good for prejudice, for this wideness of our brains. So exactly what we do now, to travel, to talk with the people of different religions, different nations. And yeah, and I was also thinking of a paper of American psychoanalyst Jessica Benjamin, More Than One Can Live.
Ah, beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I joined Violetta, and what I took away from IGP conferences the last 40 or 50 years is the small group, morning groups in the conference, for me, always have became the most important place where peoples of different cultures join, create a confidential, safe space, and then dare to be themselves and interchange. Because I'm convinced our cultures exist because there's a human need to have safety. And though we have cultures, except these cultures also have very destructive sides. And there we can exchange the goods. I always call it, we all are brainwashed. But in a group gives us the chance to get aware of it and to get distance from it, that it must not be the life we have to live for the rest of our life.
Thank you.
So thank you, Carlos.
Can I have a few words from everybody? To maybe a word, a sentence, and Marjut.
Yeah, I joined.
Sorry, Marjut.
I also joined Andreas and.
No, it's
sorry,
okay, Christina. Go.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. No,
please.
go, continue.
No. I joined Andreas and Violetta's work, and I've been writing about AI and humanity for a keyword in the Spanish Association. And what I found is that the group is the only way to be safe of the toxic side of the AI. And today I really learn a lot about why that can happen. So thank you, Carlos, and thank you
Thank you,
all.
Christina. Marjut.
Thank you, Carlos. This session was waking lots of memories from my life, from different encounters and in different places, and also thoughts and feelings. And I noticed how my truth has been changing through my life when I have had new encounters, so I have understood more. But still there are, of course, things. And then this AI, that is artificial intelligence, so it's a thing that I have been thinking of a long time, and I have been wondering what is coming with it, and we'll see. But it is very good to be aware of its different characters. So thank you, Carlos, very much.
I'll make your name And if you have nothing to say, said pass. Marcia, how was this chat for you?
Me? Oh, me? Oh, I feel so inspired. I just love you. Thank you so
Marcia.
much. And I want to tell a secret. In my whole life, I think the people I've been most angry with are just like me.
Of course. Philippa.
It's been thought-provoking. The prime reason I join any of these things is because I get to meet people around the world and find common links.
Thank you. Maria. You were quiet.
I lost a part of the encounter, but it's interesting to hear something that I am not used to hear. So it was something different from the usual, and this is important, just to be aware of ideology, of prejudices. So for that, it was important for me.
Thank you. Thank you, Lindsay.
I feel inspired, which to me has the word spirit in it. So thank you, Carlos.
Who is I lost the picture. Tama, how was for you, the organizer? How was this? Thank you so much for helping us to organize this. How was this for you?
It was very exciting. I am full of reflections and to think further about it. And as an organizer, it's not always easy to go deeply because I am thinking about the whole process, but I will see recording after. Your reflections was very nice. Thank you, dear Carlos, dear Marcia. Dear all, I wish you good evening or good afternoon or wherever you are. I'm happy that we are continuing our tradition, IGP tradition, and you are contributing with your professionalism.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you all. And I would like to add about the survey.
Sorry, Tamar. Can you say that at the end? I'd like to hear more from other people. Yes. Chris?
Okay. I was thinking that I am the
because
last,
you were the next in my thing. Chris, how was for you? Nice to see you.
Oh, it was, lovely to see you too, Carlos. And I did miss the beginning because, I just did. And so I'm very disappointed I missed the beginning. But the part that I was here for, I just love the beautiful energy of all the people, so it's just wonderful to be with such, I can just feel the love of all the people on the call. So that was, and Carlos, led by you, I'm just always inspired, and I'm going to be looking up Pecunius and Insula after we finish. Is it recorded?
Yes,
by the way?
Is.
Oh, good. That's great. So thank you so much for your generous, running this session. It's been beautiful. Thank you.
Alexander, how was that